Welcome to Graceguts&grit, the podcast about showing up, standing tall, and handling life's plot twists with just the right mix of grace, guts, and grit. No manuals, just real talk and survival strategies. So grab your coffee, your kombucha, whatever fuels you, and let's get into it, because showing up isn't the goal. Showing up boldly, unapologetically, and authentically, that's where the magic is. A well-respected surgeon died on Tuesday morning, and by noon, his name was gone from the OR board. He ran his specialized team solo, he worked all hours, took every consult, trained residents and students, he covered the unit, and he held it together for 15 years, but he was still gone from the schedule by noon. And administration sent out an email that his schedule had been sorted. That was the word they used, sorted. That's when I realized something I didn't want to face. Even when your work shapes people, the system forgets you on purpose. Even when your impact is real, the system doesn't pause. It keeps moving. This surgeon gave everything because it mattered to him, to his patients, to us, his team members. But the structure around him didn't hold space for that kind of loss. It just recalibrated efficiently as it is meant to. And while this story is from my career in healthcare, the truth it revealed applies to every demanding system. This truth sat almost as heavy as the grief. And here's the hard part. None of this means that connection doesn't matter. The legacy you leave, the lives you've touched, the clients you've served, the patients you've cared for, the team you have carried, these are real. They count. But the cost should never outweigh the rest of your life, especially not your health, your family, or your wholeness. Today's episode of Grace, Guts, and Grit is titled, Your Absence is Not the Earthquake You Think It Is. It's about how systems move on and why you have to move differently. Because if someone like him, brilliant, devoted, and essential, can disappear without much of a ripple, the rest of us need to ask, what are we giving? Who's keeping track? What exactly are we sacrificing for? I was sad, but underneath the grief, there was a strange kind of relief. Relief that told me, if someone like him, a pillar, a builder, a backbone, could disappear that quickly, and that's when it hit me. The system isn't built to remember your sacrifices. And it's not evil, it's just the design. It's not a person with memories or emotions. It runs on metrics, on deliverables met, on schedules filled, on loyalty, which is often unreciprocated. Unfortunately, we're taught that constant availability makes us essential, that showing up endlessly keeps us safe. But the truth is, the system is designed to forget you efficiently. It's not personal. Research shows that systems experience corporate memory loss when veteran staff depart. Roles are often refilled quickly. Studies also indicate that while most employees want to feel seen as individuals, a big chunk feel their company doesn't actually see them that way. Systems don't pause for the person. They prioritize continuity and coverage over individual contribution. So if you've been trading your health or your time for the illusion of being essential, this should be your wake-up call. 45.2% of U.S. physicians report at least one symptom of burnout. Also, studies suggest that nurse burnout rates can be as high as 56%. And it's not limited to the healthcare field. The system doesn't reward your devotion, it just absorbs it. Leaving won't shake the system, but staying past your limit, that might just break you. And your absence won't break them, but it can absolutely save you. And that's why you have to move differently. This may not apply to everyone. If you're holding a solo operation together by sheer force of will, this might not be your script. But for those of us inside systems where the machine is bigger than any one of us, this is the truth. My first conversation wasn't with HR. It was with myself. I started to ask, is this an emergency? Just me being rewired to always want to jump into the void for reasons I have to identify. Urgent requests still came in, but I didn't always sprint. And I made sure I wasn't the default solution anymore. I set boundaries that felt awkward at first. It started small, like letting an after-hours call go to voicemail, skipping a meeting I didn't need to be in, and eventually I took a real vacation. No emails, no checking in, just quiet. And that's when the question hit me with a click. If my absence changes nothing, if everything reconfigures without a pause, then what exactly was I killing myself to hold together? Who was I doing all this for? But I'll be honest, some people come back and realize the system hasn't held space for them. Not only did the work appear heavier, messier, sometimes it was no longer theirs. Their absence was quietly held against them. If this resonates, then your path requires a more nuanced approach than is being discussed here today. For me, though, it turns out I wasn't holding the space together. And when I finally saw that, it freed me. Stepping back didn't make me instantly joyful. It brought me a stark honesty. I got sleep that felt like rest, real rest. Mornings waking up without dread. A mind clear enough to hear itself think. Noticing the split second before I automatically said yes to everything. And I was able to ask myself, do I really mean to say yes? And when that reflex to say yes faded, something else returned. Curiosity about my own life. I didn't hate the work. I just stopped letting it consume me. I'm not pretending everyone's going to have the option to say no. Some people are in seasons or systems where stepping back isn't viable. Not yet. And if that's you, this isn't judgment. It's for the day you get a crack of leverage. When that day comes, remember this and be ready to push. You owe it to yourself. What I wish someone had told me, no one is coming to rescue me and no one's coming to maintain or erect my boundaries. Not my boss, not my coworkers, and certainly not the system. Especially not the system. It runs on the hope that you wouldn't even notice that your boundaries have been eroded, have crumbled. So here's what I learned the hard way. If you don't draw a line, the system will keep taking. Not because it's evil. I will say this again and again, but because that's how systems operate. Efficiently. They absorb what's given without pause, without guilt. And you're not less valuable because you choose to step away or carry less of the burden. You're more valuable to the people who truly need you whole, your family. Rest isn't laziness. Absence isn't betrayal. And remember, you don't have to prove your worth by dying for it. And anyone who demands that is showing you they really don't care about you in any way. If you're afraid to take this space, to regain your boundaries, ask yourself why. What is that fear protecting? Is it your livelihood, your identity, your sense of being needed? Name what you think you'll lose and who benefits from that fear. Because if you wait until you're broken, the repair is going to cost more. Start with one moment. Let your absence be felt now, before it's permanent. By burnout, breakdown, or when you just can't take it anymore and you walk away entirely. When I finally stepped away, here's what showed up. I found what I had forgotten. Devotion to myself, to my people, real talks with my family, with my kids, not just how was school, how are you doing today? More about what do you want to be? Who's your crush? Who are your friends? What happened today? Tell me, spill the tea. I learned about what lit them up, their dreams and aspirations. I had date nights where I wasn't half asleep, where we talked like a couple again, not roommates coordinating logistics. I had lunches with my friends that weren't timed around shift changes, and sometimes just had a quiet walk at dusk, just breathing and enjoying my time to myself. And it turns out balance isn't about juggling. It's about actually dropping the performance. And yeah, sometimes the calls come and I don't answer. Someone else picks up. But that doesn't undo what I am and what I have done and what I have given. And honestly, feeling this good makes the thought of going back to that old grind irrational. Which makes me ask, if the system can run without me, what was I giving up to keep it running? Conversations that don't feel like checklists, weekends that actually recharge you, a body that isn't a warning sign, time that's yours, and memory that holds it. It's about stopping the trade of your soul for a gold star that nobody remembers. And maybe if enough of us stop, we don't just heal ourselves, we start building something better, a better system, one that doesn't reward silence or feed on exhaustion, one that remembers what it's like to be human. So what are the things you lose if you let fear prevent you from taking a step? You lose that clarity about the insanity of the system you're trying to survive in, about the insanity of all your boundaries eroded. And here's what else might scare you. You might feel less essential. That panic when they can't reach you after hours, it's gonna fade. They'll find someone else. And if you realize the world keeps turning, it makes you question why you had to be available after hours in the first place. Promotions might slow down. If that's an issue for you, you may have to navigate this differently. Ask yourself this. What's the point of climbing a ladder that's leaning against the wrong wall? A wall built on your constant exhaustion and rewarding only overextension. People might also whisper, yes, that can sting. But you have to decide if their fleeting judgment is worth the erosion. They'll either wake up to their own patterns or continue on their path to burnout. Either way, that's really none of your concern. For some, the fear of making less is very real. Financial security is paramount. But if you have even a tiny bit of choice, I invite you to consider this. Does the extra money truly cover what it costs you in time, in presence, in life? Start doing the real math, the kind that counts what your time, your peace, and your wholeness are actually worth. Either way, let your wholeness be the guide. As Bonnie Ware, a palliative care nurse, observed from those looking back on a life lived, no one on their deathbed ever said, I wish I had spent more time at the office. Instead, it was always about the love shared, the moments cherished, and the courage to live authentically. They call it stepping back or stepping away, but you know exactly what it is, taking your life back. It takes guts to walk away when you need to, and even more to do it without apology. And remember, to your family, you are often the sun. At work, at best, you're Jupiter. Impressive, visible, useful, but still you're orbiting someone else's light. But on most days, you're a moon, steady, quiet, and replaced without ceremony. So, stop burning yourself out for a machine that wouldn't flinch if you vanished. And that silence you hear when you step back, it's not the chaos you feared, it's not the earthquake you feared. It's the system quietly recalibrating, adjusting, filling the gap, and moving on without acknowledging your sacrifice or absence as a profound loss. Let it. So that's it for today's episode of Grace, Guts and Grit. If something resonated with you, made you laugh, made you think, or made you say, whew, I needed that, do me a favor, subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Remember, Grace keeps it classy, Guts takes the risk, and Grit gets it done. And you, my friend, were built for this. So, see you next time, same place, same energy. Until then, keep showing up and owning your story.